morning, sunshine. I hope you're having a good day so far and that it will get even better once we start painting together. Well, today is a bit of an experiment day, and I thought it'd be fun just to try a few things and see what happens, so you can, maybe replicate the same thing at home, or actually find out that something is not to be tried. So I thought I would try something new today. I'm going to be working in my larger A4 art journal, so just on this page. It was just painted yellow because I had some spare yellow paint one day. I'm just going to do something on here, and I have this piece of paper which was printed on a laser printer in color, and it's one of my artworks. And I was just wondering, if this glossy paper would be suitable to paint on, and if I could use it as a background piece for my artwork. So I thought, why not? Let's just experiment, see what happens, alright? So I'm going to use some gloss varnish it's a gloss medium and varnish just to sort of stick it down. This one is from Liquitex. It's very liquid, so you won't need very much. And I'm just going to give it a little shake and put it in a small cup just so it's easier to spread it. Put a bit more now, and then a lot more if needed later on. And I'm just going to first of all spread it all over the page, the background of the page. Reasonably generously, and try not to miss any spots so I don't get any air bubbles later on. And I'm going to press my page down straight onto it. Actually, I'm going to put it upside down so it doesn't look too much like the original artwork. Roughly in the center. I'm going to press down starting from the middle. If you have a brayer, then that would help, just getting the air bubbles out, but I haven't got one yet, so I'm just going to use my hand, and that's okay because this is my art journal, so it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the whole point of why I'm doing this. And then I'm going to spread another coat of that medium on top of the page, just so I can get something that the paint or whatever I'm going to add later on to stick to, basically a new layer, like a prep layer. Again, trying to not miss too many spots and applying it quite generously and in all directions, especially on the edges to make sure that this well stuck down to the page. Doesn't matter if there's any brush strokes. This will probably get covered later on anyway, so that's alright. Okay, well, I've actually used up everything on here, so no waste. I'm going to get this page dried up using my hairdryer because, as you know, life is too short to watch paint or any medium dry, and then I'll be right back with you. Alright, this is dry to the touch. I find that's a little bit tacky because it's the gloss medium, I think, and a matte medium would be better for this, but again, I'm just experimenting, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem with paint later on. So now that that's touch dry, and yeah, it will dry everywhere. I thought I might try to add some paint to it and then cover some of these areas and keep some other ones. So because this page is already quite colourful, pardon the traffic out there, I'm going to try to use something a bit contrasting, like maybe some orange, because there's a little bit in here already, tiny dots of it, and a little bit in the background. So let's just try out some orange. I'm going to use some Liquitex Art Basic paints for now. If you're interested in those really nice colors, this one is called Cadmium Yellow Deep Hue. So it's like a light orange, and this one, the darker one, is called Cadmium Orange Hue. I'll go up close so you can see. I don't know, the camera's not really picking it up, but anyway. And I'm going to apply it with my fingers straight out of the tube and rub it onto my page. So let's see what happens. These colors are a little bit translucent, so that will allow me to still see what I've got underneath. But I'm going to intensify some of these areas. I'll do that with some orange for now and see how that looks. Of course, if I put some orange on top of my blue here, it'll probably look quite ugly, so you just have to keep in mind you know, the colors that you've got underneath before you apply another one on top that is translucent. So here I'm playing it safe, putting some orange on top of some mostly orange sections. But I'm going to add some yellow as well. Again, straight from the tube, why not? Let's put some around here. So far so good, you know, it doesn't, actually the tackiness is pretty much all gone now, so I think it was just from the heat. In once it's completely dry, cool dry, then there's no problem to paint over. It's great news. So I'll just patchy for now. Of course, it's tempting to keep this page as is because the artwork is already done, but let's push the limit a little bit. See, I'm still keeping some of the designs in the background. And I know my yellow borders are showing here. I might do something like with them at the end. We shall see. Let's add a little, what else can we put on there? Maybe some pink or purple. Choices. Let's go with pink. Oh, and by the way, this one is called Medium Magenta. Funky color. Got my little dog next to me snoring. I hope you can't hear him. Some people have a tough life, don't they? A bit of pink here. I'm going to start covering some of these flowers so it doesn't stand out so much. I'm covering the edges of the petals a little bit, just so they sort of blend in the background and not stand out on top of the page so much. Put a little bit on the top. And maybe I'll add some of this purple after all, and this one's called Brilliant Purple. And my yellow is not quite dry here, so I'll try to avoid it a little bit because purple and yellow, nah, it doesn't give me a very appealing colour. Right, I added also a little bit of blue, but I'm going to dry everything first. I really like how I still have that shine from the flowers, from the paper underneath. It's really glossy, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's add a little blue, so I'm thinking either some of this one or darker. When I can't choose, usually I do both, so let's do a little bit of both. This one is a Reeves paint and the color is deep turquoise. It's like a really dark turquoise, it's really nice. I only put a little bit for now. And I'll turn it down with the other lighter blue. This one's a bit more opaque than the previous paint, but that's okay. That allows you to cover any areas you might not want to see anymore. It looks gorgeous next to the yellow. Obviously, if there's a color that you liked on there at first and you're starting to cover it up and you want to bring it back, then just dry everything and add some more of it. Like this yellow, for instance, is disappearing a bit now, so maybe I'll add a little bit more later on. I'll add for now a little bit of this light blue permanent. It's really nice pastel-y blue, sky blue. Cover a little bit of the flowers, not too much. Then I'm thinking I might do a little bit of stamping after that, just to add some texture to the background. Bit more blue here for a bit of pop. I'm going to bring back some of the yellow that I mentioned earlier. Just to jazz it up a little. A bit more here. See how much it pops now off the page. I'm applying it a little bit thicker than before. A bit more here. Maybe a little here. Just transparency there. then I'm gonna dry all this off. Alright, well, so far so good. This is what we've got. Nice and bright, and still a bit of gloss from the paper underneath where I haven't painted over too much. But for now I'm thinking I might do a little bit of stamping, as I mentioned before. And I'm thinking of doing something in white just to cover some of this background and make it stand out at the same time. So I'm gonna grab my ink pad. This one is called Moonlight White Brilliance. And it's an archival ink. I know that will not move once it's down. And I'm thinking of a sort of a flowery pattern that I've got somewhere in there, which would be great for texture. This one. Now I can't remember who made this one. It may be Kaiser Craft, but I'm not entirely sure. And let me find my little stamp support thing. So this is a Klingon rubber stamp, so you just peel it off the backing sheet and put it straight onto your little support here. Easy. I'm going to place it a bit more in the corner so I can reach the edges of the page a bit more easily. And that looks really beautiful. A bit more. You don't have to cover the entire page, although when you get such a pretty result it's hard to stop, but I'll cover most of it until I've got no ink left on my stamp, which is about now. That's all gone. So, got a very subtle effect, but that's really pretty. I hope that will get picked up on the camera. A little closer. So you see the white pattern, and it's got a little bit of a shine, iridescent effect. Alright, now what to do next? So when I'm not too sure what to do, I just sort of look around at the colors and the supplies I've got and hope to get some inspiration out of that. Usually it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to add some little spirals using another stamp. This is actually made for clay, so it's not technically a stamp that you normally would use for this kind of project. It's rubber and there's no backing, so I'm just going to use it. You know, I'm just going to press it down as best as I can with my hands, and I'm going to use a contrasting color this time with some darker color. So I'm going to use the stone grey, which is a dark grey, and that's from Stays On. Just want a sort of pretty effect that will contrast a little bit but not cover the page too much, because I want to keep the colors underneath. Phone beeping now. See what I mean? It's pretty, isn't it? I'm gonna go all the way around, I think. I'm going to put my phone on silent as well. Okay, done. A little bit more ink. Go to the other side. Time on the top and the bottom. Okay, show you the effect. So we're starting to build some nice and interesting texture here. I've got some beautiful colors. So it's pretty already as it is. I mean, if you don't look at this page next to it and just have it on its own, it's already quite pretty. I'm not too sure what else I want to do with it. I'm gonna have a little think about it and get back to you. Give me 5. Okay, it didn't actually even take me 5 minutes, maybe just a couple, but I thought I might just bring back those flower shapes and make these the focus on the page. Just trying to keep them a little bit different from what they were originally, of course, so we can create something new and not repeat what was done before. So I'm going to use this product, which is a pearlescent acrylic paint. It's very liquid, it's almost like ink, and that's by Dale Roni. I'll bring it up to the camera, and this color is a really dark grey. Let me see if it says what it's called on here. Not that I can see. It's like almost like a gunmetal effect with a bit of a iridescent to it, so I'm gonna put some in my little plastic cup here, and then that'll be easier to get it out Well, it'll be easier to use it from there rather than from the little bottle where you can't see anything. I'm gonna use a fine tip brush like this one and just dip it straight into this. I keep calling it ink even though it's a liquid acrylic, but it's got, you could do that with an ink as well. And I'm just gonna make those shapes just a bit more prominent again. Definitely need more of that product. I'm a little bit too stingy there. I'm gonna make them pop again, those little flowers, but this time they have extra texture. And you don't have to follow the original lines if you're doing something a little bit similar to what I'm doing, because they've been quite covered anyway by the paint. I'm going to add a bit more. Actually making the petals a little bit bigger than the original flower here. And as I mentioned earlier, this paint's got an iridescent finish, so it always contrasts really nicely with the background. A little bit more. I'm going to make some stems here. Coming off the page. One here. And a smaller flower here. Almost looks like a stem here already, so I'm going to keep that. And maybe a few leaves. Going off the page to sort of unify everything here. Alright, just one spot there. Okay, everything's dry. Now I think I really love the colors and the texture in the background, so I don't want to cover too much of that. So I think I'm just going to use some white pan pastel to go around my flowers, just to make them stand out a little bit more without losing too much of those beautiful colors in the background. So let me grab the pan pastel. This is the white one, and I'm going to use this tool, the soft tool, to apply it. Kind of change sides here so I don't get the colors too dirty. Alright, let's do this, see what happens. It's going to be subtle, but there. applying a little bit, and I can always apply more later if that's not enough, rather than do too much too quickly. Okay, so like I said, it's quite subtle, but it does make those flowers stand out a little bit more from the background. Don't know if you can see it better up close. The white sort of shadow around the flowers and the stems and leaves. Now I think I'm going to keep using the pan pastels to sort of go around the petals a little bit, and maybe which color shall I use? Maybe some of this light blue. Let's try that. This light blue is very transparent, so I know I'm not going to do anything too crazy here. But it will help unify the petals on this flower a little bit, so they all have a bit of blue. And again, I can put a bit first and add some more later on if that's not enough. But that will stay transparent. And I'm going to do the same up here. You can see it is a subtle effect, but it does tone down the colors underneath a little bit without losing any of that texture that we created earlier. And a very slight touch of green on the petals. I'm going to use the lime green actually, which is almost looks like a yellow. A bit more. Okay, maybe a little bit of a touch here on this smaller flower. Okay, now I always like adding white dots. If you know my work, you'll know that I add them everywhere. So I'm going to do the same using a pen. So very subtle effect. And this one is from Pilot, I think. Actually no, it's called Hybrid Gel. Anyway, it's a pigment gel ink pen. The camera doesn't want to focus today. Anyway, I'm going to use it to create some highlights on the flowers and the leaves. Really happy with how things are going so far. Really cool. Try not to smudge my ink. And then this stem here, and this small flower here. Note that I said I would do some white dots, and I ended up doing some white line without even batting an eyelid or an eyelash even. Yeah, gonna do some lines here. One of those days, you know, when your brain's not functioning too well. I hope it's not just me. My ink is still wet, so I'm trying not to put my arm in there. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay. I don't think I want to do much more here. I'm happy with the way it looks right now. I've got my arginalling fixed, so I'm just going to show you what I've done up close, so you can see how much the flowers really pop. You can still see the texture there. Some lunch, so I hope you've enjoyed this page and that it's giving you some inspiration to create your own and something similar. So as you can see, there was absolutely no problem using an inkjet printed page in color, which had a really glossy surface. Absolutely no problem at all. I didn't even get any air bubbles for once, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to leave the edges like that for now. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a black smudge around it later on, but for now I'm really happy. So thanks for watching and happy painting. Hopefully I'll see you again for another video very soon. See ya!